giving us the real storytelling of the Coca-Cola brand across the markets of Eurasia and Africa. Here to present is their group digital director, MARIANO, BOSAZ, one of the speakers chosen by the Webit Audience Award public vote. Welcome on stage.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me? So, have you ever wondered why successful people and successful companies are asking us to fail? This trend of failure probably started 5 years ago when Marissa Mayer was working in Google, and she created the 9 principles of innovation. One of the principles was innovation, not instant perfection, and I'm quoting what she said, and it was basically that Apple is great at building perfect products because you get it right and then the world goes, wow. The problem is when you get it wrong. I don't know if they build perfect products. You can have your own opinion on that. I think they build great products. But of course, on failure, there are consequences. This is an article in Forbes last week asking to a journalist if cloud was vulnerable. And the journalist is saying, yes, it was vulnerable. Now, is Apple responsible? The article is saying, well, no, the hackers are the responsible ones. But still, there is failure there. After Marissa, Susan, came to Google and she created the 8 pillars of innovation. One of the pillars was never fail to fail. And she was saying, because people remember more your hits than your misses. And this is probably true for Google. We remember most of their hits, although they had some misses. But this is not applicable for memorable misses that you can have in your company and things that will stay forever in the mind of the consumer. After Susan, Gopi joined Google, and it looks like when you join Google, you need to write your pillars of innovation. And he wrote the 9 principles of innovation, and he was saying, fail well. Failure is a badge of honor. Imagine that. You join a company and they tell you failure is a badge of honor that you can get. If you don't fail often enough, it's just because you're not trying hard enough. And of course, you all know the principles of Facebook and fail harder. Here is a quote of an intern who joined Facebook. She's saying, I joined Facebook and the first thing I was told to do was to fail hard. She tried a lot. That's what she's putting in her blog. But she was never allowed to break into the Facebook Live site. So they invite you to fail, but they do it in a controlled environment. In Coca-Cola, we like this. And we said, let's push it even further. And we created an annual award for failure. So when you join Coca-Cola, if you have a project or an idea and it failed, we give you an award. There are 12 awards, and one of the awards is around failure. Now, why do you think that people are asking other people to fail? And not only to fail, but to fail fast, to fail hard, and it will give you an award if you fail. One first conclusion you can have in your head is, well, it's very easy because when you fail, you learn and you have more chances of succeeding. You have all these wonderful stories. The Beatles rejected because their music had no future. Oprah Winfrey, not a good fit for television. Steve Jobs, fired from his own company. Walt Disney, no imagination. That was the feedback he got. Einstein, he couldn't speak until he was 4. And Michael Jordan, this one was very memorable. Nike hired Michael Jordan to write this script. I missed 9,000 shots. I'm sure you all remember it. It has a lot of views on YouTube. Almost 300 games. I was trusted with the winning ball 26 times and I missed. I failed and failed over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. So let's look at sports, because Michael Jordan is saying, the more I fail, the more chances I have to succeed. If you look at Federer, this is all public information you can find in tennis sports sites like ATP. He played 135 finals in his life, and he won 88. He missed only 47. This doesn't work then to prove the fact that the more you fail, the more chances you have to succeed. In case Federer is a winning machine. So let's look at the guys who lose a lot, because you can say, well, look at the guys that are losing a lot. There is a ranking of the people that lost the most number of games to get into a final. That ranking is led by Marat Safin. Some of you may remember him. Then you have Goran Ivanisevic and some others. So what is showing here is how many games they lost to get to the final in a Grand Slam. A very important final for those that are not big in tennis or fans of tennis. He lost 129. Safin lost 129 games, but he still made it to the final. But guess what? He also lost the final. So that didn't make him a winner. Ivanisevic, he won one of the time he were there. He's in a ranking twice. But he only reached the second position and never the first. So there is not enough proof to say that failure and success are related. And do you really think if you make something really wrong in your company and you fail really, really hard, there will be no consequences? You all know this leak that they had. Of course there are consequences. People got fired. This is iOS 6. Remember the problem they had with the maps? They said that they didn't get fired this person because of this, but people get fired. Now, let me tell you another reason why it's good to tell people to fail. There is something called the above the average effect. What does it mean? It means that if I ask any of you, are you a good driver? You're going to say, oh, I'm okay, driver, because we all have a humble approach to these kind of questions. But if I ask you a different question, and if I tell you, in comparison to the average driver, how good are you? Most of the cases, with rare exceptions, are going to say, well, in comparison to the average, I think I am above the average. But mathematically, it's not possible. Dunning and Kruger, these two guys, run a lot of tests, mathematics, grammar, even humor, with a lot of people. And of course, they got, as any other test, results. A lot of people score very good, some people in the middle, a lot of people score very bad. And they have an average of 50, let's say. The next thing they did is to ask all these people how they felt themselves, that they scored in comparison to the average that was 50. Everyone answered above the average, with a slight difference of those that score better. Then they did another thing, and they said, okay, if the average was 50, and in comparison to the other people that you know participated in this test, where do you see yourself? The result was the same. It just changed a little bit, because those that scored very bad thought that maybe the others did better. The conclusion of this chart is saying that people that score really low overestimate themselves significantly, and those that score very good underestimate themselves. In the year 2000, they won a Nobel Prize, and they draw this map. What this map says is that when you know nothing about something, when you know nothing about the project, when you know nothing about the company you're joining, your level of confidence is going to be 100%. You're going to be sure that you're going to succeed. Then when you start getting information about the project, about the team, about the budget, about the time, your level of confidence is going to immediately drop to a lower level. And it will continue decreasing with the more information that you get and the more experience that you have, until you become an expert. And when you become an expert, your level of confidence is nowhere near what it was when you knew nothing about something. So when you know nothing about something, enjoy your level of confidence, because it will never be again there. So when you tell people to fail, basically you're telling these guys, all of them, to fail. These guys are going to increase their level of confidence, and these guys are going to be at the same 100%, which means that if you still want to make a promotion of failure inside your company, be sure that the most experienced get the message. Isolate those that don't have experience and know nothing about something, because they're going to be very successful at failing, and they're going to make a disaster in your company. And then avoid any kind of failure in safety and in quality services that you provide, because that's not a good place to promote it. Last question. Now, okay, I want to promote failure, but how much money do I put in a project that can be failing? Well, that's very easy. You have to understand who's your competitor. So if you want to develop a messenger, and your competitor is WhatsApp, you can invest up to $18 billion and fail, because it's more expensive to buy it. You can do the same if you want to do headphones, etc. Thank you very much.